Prop 1 on the March 5th ballot would approve a $6.4 billion bond to address homelessness, with $2 billion allocated towards constructing housing and $4.4 billion allocated towards building treatment centers. Prop 1 would provide around 4,500 housing units and increase the rehabilitation capacity by 6,800 people, all for California's homeless population of around 180,000.
I'm here with Senator Skinner. Thank you so much for having us.
Certainly, very glad to join you.
Hello, I'm here with Izzy Gardone, member of Governor Newsom's communications team. Happy to have you here.
It's so great to be here. Thank you so much.
Hi, Olympia, and I am here with Assemblymember Alanis and his staff, Ms. Smith, and today I'll be asking questions about Prop 1, ocean sustainability, and gun laws.
Well, Prop 1's very needed because obviously California has a serious problem with unhoused folks, many people who are without housing. Though everyone that we see on the streets, I mean, our homeless population is larger than that. Now, everyone we see on the streets is not necessarily a person that needs the kind of services that Prop 1 would offer, but there are a good number who do. And so just trying to provide housing alone to the folks that have the mental health issues or, need the kind of support services is not going to be adequate. So Prop 1 enables us to have more housing that has those type of support services and also beef up our mental health services to address that portion of our unhoused people that also have very serious mental health needs.
Over $24 billion invested just to address homelessness, another $40 billion to build more affordable housing across the state. All that money over the past 5 or so years has been given to local governments. A lot of local governments, cities and counties are stepping up, doing their part, building more affordable housing, building so important shelter beds in shelters. And there are other city governments, other counties who haven't stepped up as much. And so, especially as we enter into a more difficult, more lean budgetary environment, we need to make sure that when we're delivering tools, when we're delivering resources, delivering funds to local governments, that they're doing their part, they're stepping up, and there's some accountability there. So we're not just delivering money to local governments, we're also delivering tools to assist them, and we're also holding them to account. So that's sort of the core strategy of the governor's approach to homelessness. In addition to that, as you mentioned, there is a proposition on the ballot, Proposition 1. Again, can't really speak to that in detail just because it is on the ballot. But what I do know is it would potentially be, based on the legislation that brought it to the ballot, be a huge game changer in our effort to respond to this crisis.
To tell you the truth, I don't have all the information on Prop 1 yet. I've been watching the TV ads just as much as everybody else has. A friend of mine, Sheriff Jim Cooper, is in support of it. So that means I need to take a closer look at it. But from what I gather, a lot of the services that I'm hearing that he mentioned in the ad, I feel we already do those. So I'm not sure if this prop is asking for us to pay more in taxes or if it's the money that you had just mentioned, which, how much was it again?
$6.4 billion.
$6.4 billion. I don't know if that's something like they're trying to take out of the general. As you may know, we're in a deficit, so it's going to be kind of hard to fund a lot of these programs as it is. So I don't know if this is the way of Sacramento trying to get the taxpayers to put more money into the pot so that way we can pay for these programs or not. So to be honest with you, I haven't really read completely into it, and I apologize. But that would be my first thoughts on it is why are we wanting to pay into programs that we already do pay into, or at least partially? And I'm going off of the ads again, or the commercials. Veterans, I mean, I know we have veteran programs right now, domestic violence programs. I used to be a domestic violence detective, so I know we have programs back in my county to help shelter the women and their children as well. So I'm not sure if they're maybe in threat of losing those programs completely or not because of the deficit, or if this is just a way to maybe get more money towards them and have the voters say that that's what they want, as opposed to having the electeds choose it. So I've found that sometimes electeds would prefer to hear from the people and have them say, hey, this is what we want. But as you may or may not know, the voters have said that in the past too on certain things that they want, like wanting to fund dams, like the temperance dams. I don't know if you guys have done a story on that or not, but that's something that the California people had said, hey, yes, we want money to go towards this. This is something we support, and this is something they voted for. And that was over 10 years ago. And that hasn't even been done yet. So I don't know how that would not work or would work, but it's something to think about. In general, that would probably help. But one thing that you also have to remember, California is a huge state. And I've seen a lot of bills that do the one size fits all for a law, and doesn't necessarily work in certain areas of the state, and would work better in other parts of the state. So that's why sometimes I like when we look at bills to see, like, how does it affect everybody in the state, especially, I got to look at my district also. How does it affect my district? Because worrying about a tractor in my district probably doesn't, somebody in Los Angeles probably doesn't even care about a tractor, right? If they have a tractor in their neighborhood, something's wrong.
I don't even know if we have to worry about a tractor.
Yeah, so those are some things to take into consideration also. And I'm not a mental health expert, but if that's what they feel would help, I think that's a great idea on that part. I think any kind of help in the mental health world would help with assisting, making sure that people are safer that way. And not even just talking about guns, just talking their mentality, period. Because you have people that take cars and drive into parades or drive into, houses, those kind of things. Or even if it's just somebody who may feel like they need to take their own lives and needs that help. I think it's a great idea for them to provide more services for them, so that way they can learn that, hey, they're loved, they're wanted. That some people have bad days and unfortunately do some bad things to themselves to where they're not here with us anymore. And I've seen way too much of that when I was on the job. And it's just unfortunate that maybe they had a bad week, and it's like, compare this one week to the rest of the years of your lives. And that's just a little glimpse and a chapter in your book. But then their book ends as they ended their life. So hopefully we can get them the help they need. And if it does do that, what it says, then I'm happy about that.
Well, we have many other sources of funds that we have been directing towards housing for very low-income people and for our unhoused people, including things like our Project Room Key and other funds that we've provided. So what we've seen, though, is that in some of the housing that we have now been providing to our unhoused people, without those mental health services, they are not thriving. It is not working. So that's why there is a larger proportion in the Prop 1 for that type of
we have some downtown street programs and programs like that where they're allowed to work, and it gets them back into the working environment. It helps them be an owner of their area and clean it up. I was actually passing some of them as I was coming to work this morning. I was very happy and proud to see that, because they take a lot of pride in their work that they're doing. I think the biggest problem that I have with just throwing money at homeless programs, and I had this in my district too, is there's some programs work, some don't. Some just want to, hey, I'll take the money and try and make this happen, and it doesn't happen. It's going to those programs that have proven that it works. And I'll give you a quick example. I had a city council member wanting me to help them with some state property to try and get some housing for homeless. And I asked him, well, what's your plan? He's like, well, we want to build some houses and we're going to let them move in. And I'm like, no. And he was shocked. Like, why would I say that? I'm like, no, that it doesn't work that way. One of our mission in Modesto, I did a tour with them, and they show me how they do it in stages. Like, they started in the big group, and then from the big group, as they get more interested and more involved, they move them into like maybe a group, like, so they go like a group of like, say 40 or 50 in a room. And then they go to like 30, and then to a dozen, and then like 6. And what they're doing is they're basically domesticating them. Because you got to remember, these people, and that's, it sounds bad, but that's really what it comes to is
Yeah.
they've been out on the streets so much, and it's been proven when they provide this housing, sometimes they'll come in and the person will still be sleeping on the floor, and maybe like their pet would be on the bed, because that's just what they're used to. So the way the mission's doing it is they're slowly integrating them back into basically society of how you and I mean, I see you have a bed in the back, right? So you probably sleep
Yeah.
in that, not on the floor. You wouldn't think about sleeping on the floor, but that's what helps them, because they got to get into here too and help bring them back. And so providing them with just houses and letting them sleep in it has proven wrong. They've tore up houses, they've ripped up houses, and now they got to, one, it's a waste of time. That didn't get anywhere getting that person a good, clean house, and now they got to repair it. Maybe they used all their money just to make those houses, and now they got to find money to repair them. So depending on where the money is going to and what programs would help me better decide on those kind of decisions. Because if it's going to go to something like our mission in Modesto, then I would 100% back that, because their program has been proven and it helps.
Voters will vote on Prop 1 in the March 5th ballot. Voting yes would authorize the state to sell a $6.4 billion bond to address homelessness, and voting no would not require any changes to be made. This has been Matthew Wong with the Olympian, signing off from the Capitol.